Just getting back from the pet store. Let's feed some animals. Mondays, everyone gets crickets. And of course, the moment she sees the bags, she goes crazy. I go through about 200 to 250 crickets a week. I add calcium with D3 and vitamin powder to it just to give a little boost in nutritional value. I prefer these to dubious just because they stay out and about longer. This girl here gets fresh veggies every other day, sometimes every single day, and a heavy protein day once out of the week. This helps keep some of those more picky bearded dragons eating their veggies, as if you feed every other day, they will hold off and wait for the protein. Moving on to the leopard geckos. These guys here are insectivores, so they get a protein meal about twice a week. Having a bioactive setup, they always have something to eat. Whether that's crickets running around, isopods, centipedes, or darkling beetles, there's always something for them to munch on. Or to get scared by and let live for another day. Although dubias are the best feeder insect, they are much too good at burrowing and hiding, to where you'll find them weeks and weeks later uneaten. As you can tell, this girl here is a failure at hunting, so there's no way she's catching dubias. But let's move on to the crested geckos. These guys here get a protein meal about once a week and prepared diet about twice a week. Some of you have been asking me if I keep my crested gecko trio together year round, and I actually do. The key to this is to make sure that the animals are compatible to start off with and to constantly monitor their behavior. On to the cousin of the cresties, the gargoyles. These guys are basically the exact same thing, same temperature, same humidity. They eat protein once a week, prepare diet twice a week, and just like the leopard gecko, that one's a complete failure. For those of you wondering, this trio does also stay together year round. Now let's move on to one of the most iconic geckos, at least to 90s kids like myself. If you've ever seen one of those Gecko commercials growing up, you know exactly the gecko I'm talking about. This is the giant day gecko. They're on the same feeding schedule as the cresties and the gargoyles. However, I try to give these guys a little bit of a higher protein content. Then we'll tongue feed the crested gecko babies to avoid any predation. We'll gut load the rest and feed them throughout the week. Tuesdays is snake feeding day. This is a little fire sulfur pastel ball python. I was planning on breeding this with a pied. However, I'm not exactly sure what the future will hold. I might end up selling it, might be a giveaway, or I might keep her for shows, not exactly sure. But this one here, this one's staying with me for good. This is the purple albino golden child reticulated python. This one has a large rat once every 2 weeks or a large rabbit once every month. Sometimes she goes off feeding for a month or so, but the ball python eats an adult mouse on a weekly basis. If you watch my videos, you would know about the Suriname red-tailed boa baby that I had. That one is no longer with us. It was actually traded for a sphinx cat. Watering is probably something I should have mentioned sooner than Wednesday, but I do change waters every single day, occasionally water the plants, or spray down the enclosures to raise the humidity. My pump sprayer broke a few weeks back, so I've been having to deal with this thing. Yeah, that's easier. Thursday, we have gecko diet, some mealworm snacks, veggies like always, and of course, Stumpy is begging for food. My kids give snacks to the bearded dragon and the leopard geckos as I get the gecko diet ready. This is the leopard gecko's second protein day, but we give some to the bearded dragon anyway because she'll never stop begging. Never. For the babies, I use bottle caps to give them multiple feeding areas. The food stays in for about 2 days, but by then it's usually all eaten up. You'll only see a few microfauna on it. Mainly the isopods. Once it hardens up, those roly-polies just devour it. I'll get some close-up shots for you guys here shortly. It's Saturday and today the animals are getting treats. These are some peaches that my mom brought over from a tree that I planted when I was a young kid. I chopped some up for the bearded dragon and smushed some for the geckos. Now we add some of this calcium and vitamin powder mix that I have. And just like that, it's ready to go. Now let's take a look at some of the animals that we may have missed on the days prior. This trio of gargoyle geckos has really become one of my favorite projects to date. I'm really excited to show you guys what their babies end up looking like. I'm going for a really strong contrast between the whites and the reds. I do already have some eggs cooking for these guys, so stay tuned. Let's move on to the crescent gecko babies. These here are the 3 holdbacks that I have so far this year. The end goal would be some tricolor quad-stripe harlequins, but I have seen some lily whites at a pretty affordable price, so we'll see. Now that genetic mutation isn't unheard of, however it would be a really good base for my future projects. As you can tell, I started off with some pretty basic looking females. I instead opted to put my money down on the male, so that he can spread his genetic mutation around. Now what will happen in the next generation is I'll keep all the best looking females and then buy a new male so that there can be some genetic diversity. I hate watching feeding videos where they don't actually show us all the animals that they're feeding. So I went out of my way to try to get this girl out of her tank, and it almost was a big failure. Thankfully, she ran right back in the enclosure, shut the top, no problems at all. So here she is, the very last gecko. She does appear to be gravid, and I've never actually bred these guys before, so keep your fingers crossed for me. Thank you guys for watching that video. I really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me lately. At the 1,000 subscriber mark, I'm thinking about doing a giveaway. It's either going to be a bioactive setup or an animal that I breed here in the reptile room, so make sure you're subscribed. Other than that, I'll see you on the next one.